Welcome back. This video is going to cover the second part of section 7 in the review, which is writing the formulas from the chemical names. So first formula, or rather the first name we are given, is silver nitride. So the first step is to look up the symbols for everything. Silver is Ag on our periodic table, so I'm going to write Ag. And then nitride, I look at the last three letters, IDE. I know it's not polyatomic, therefore it's talking about an element, nitrogen. So I'm going to write the symbol N. Next step is to swap and drop, or crisscross, however you want to phrase that. I look up my oxidations. Now nitrogen is one of the easy ones to figure out because it is 3 places away from a noble gas. It is a minus 1, 2, 3. So nitrogen minus 3. Silver, we look it up and go, wait a second, this is a transition metal, so how am I supposed to figure out the charge? Easy. Silver is an exception. It's always a +1, just like cadmium and zinc are always +2s. Those are the 3 exceptions you need to know inside of the transition metals. So silver is a +1. If I swap and drop or crisscross it, however you want to phrase that, this 3 comes down here. This +1 comes down here, but I don't need to write it. So my final answer, Ag subscript 3 N. Next one, aluminum nitrate. Look up the symbols for everything. Aluminum is Al. Nitrate, Ate, tells me to look at my polyatomic ion list. Well, nitrate is NO subscript 3. Next thing, oxidations. Aluminum is a +3 because it's in group 3A or 13. So +3. Nitrate, NO3, we look up in our table of ions and find that it's a -1 charge. We swap and drop these. This 1 comes down here. I'm not going to write it in my final answer. And this 3 comes down here. The other thing that you have to keep track of with this is if I have multiple polyatomic ions, we have a bit of a problem. NO33. It does not need to mean 33 oxygens, so we group it with parentheses. And we write our final answer, Al1 we don't write, parentheses, NO3, parentheses, 3. Aluminum nitrate. Next formula, trisulfur pentafluoride. Well, I have prefixes in this one, tri and penta, so I know I'm dealing with a covalent compound. Sulfur, we look up on the periodic table, find that its symbol is S, so I'm going to write an S. And then fluorine, for fluoride, I look up on the periodic table and find that it is an F. So S and F. To get the subscripts, we don't have to do any math, we don't have to do any crisscrossing or swapping and dropping, whatever you want to call it. We just look at the prefix. Trisulfur, 3 sulfurs. Pentafluoride, 5 fluorides. S3F5. That's it. Sliding over till we go to the next page and finish this, we have beryllium sulfate. We look up beryllium. Symbol Be, oxidation +2. Sulfate, in our table of ions, symbol SO4, oxidation -2. +2, -2, you can just recognize that these are going to cancel out without any subscripts and write BeSO4. If you did do the swap and drop, you would wind up with a 2 here, a 2 here, and then you would simplify the 2's by dividing by 2, because they have that in common, and you would still wind up at BeSO4. Potassium nitride, symbol for potassium is K. Nitride, IDE, so we know we're looking for an element, is an N. Nitrogen is a -3. Potassium is a +1, so we swap and drop. K3N, we don't write the 1. Tin 4 selenide. Now we have a Roman numeral, so this one gets some special treatment. We look up tin on the periodic table, and it's got a symbol that doesn't really match its name, SN, over here in the carbon family. So we write SN. This 4 tells us the oxidation, so we don't need to look at the periodic table for that. We just put a +4 up here. And then selenide or selenium, Se. We look that up on the periodic table. It is a non-metal with a -2, because it's in group 16, oxidation. Now, swap and drop here, 2, 4, and then simplify. 2 and 4 both have 2 in common, so I'm going to divide everything by 2. SN1, I don't write it, Se2. Final answer. Carbon monoxide. Well, prefix mono tells me this is some sort of covalent compound. Carbon, symbol C, mono, and oxide. Oxide is oxygen, mono is 1. So CO, done. And you will notice that in this name, it's not monoxide, it's monoxide. That second O, the one from mono, was dropped because it was attached directly to another O. That's just a common English occurrence. Not really a science thing, just English. Nitrogen gas. You might be tempted to just go, oh, that's N, but don't forget there are 7 diatomic elements. They are hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, and iodine. Conveniently, these 6 make the shape of a 7, and you just have to remember hydrogen off here by its lonesome. So nitrogen gas is not N, it is N subscript 2. Rubidium sulfate. We look up rubidium and see that it is Rb. It's an alkali metal, so it's a +1. Sulfate, Ate, polyatomic ion. SO4 is the symbol with a -2 for its oxidation. Swap and drop our oxidations. So 2 and 1, we don't write it, so our final answer, Rb2SO4. Aluminum phosphide. Symbol for aluminum is Al. Phosphide, IDE. It's an element, so that is symbol P. Phosphide is a -3. Aluminum is a +3. So I could do the swap and drop, but I could just recognize, hey, these are going to cancel out. Formula ALP. Nitrogen dioxide. This is a nice easy one with prefixes. N gets no subscript because it has no prefix, meaning it's just a mono in the first position. Dioxide, so oxygen is 2, and subscript 2. Trinitrogen heptaoxide, which could also be written as trinitrogen heptaoxide, which can also be written as heptoxide without that A when they have those vowels next to each other. But that doesn't really matter. N, tri is 3, oxygen is O, hepta is 7. N3O7. Okay. Our next video is going to deal with the chemical reaction section, so stay tuned.